an absolutely insane game. So let's get into all of it. Let's start with how it ended. Do you think, based on body language, what we've heard from Derek Carr, everything else, if the Chargers had not taken a timeout, do you feel like the Raiders would have just run it into the line again, ended the game, and both of these teams would be going to the playoffs?
A part of me wants to say yes, because just reading how it was going, it really seemed like that the Raiders were just kind of going like, hey, you stopped us again. Like, wink, wink. Like, hey, oh, looks like we have to try a 58-yarder. Like, kind of like really kind of trying to like say like, oh, we're trying. That's what it kind of really felt like that, because as soon as they crossed midfield, because Derek Carr made that great throw on third down, I want to say it was.
Incredible
throw. Really good throw. And I was like, oh, okay. And then they all of a sudden just went first down, jam into the line, second down, jam it into the line. It was like, but really
it felt like it was happening. It felt
like a 4-minute drill.
Happening.
Yes. Yeah. It felt like they were trying to burn that clock. And that's what I read it as. And then when they took the timeout, they all of a sudden went with a motion. They had a shift on it. And it was like, oh, okay, that was it. They were just totally shifted how they went after him. But yeah, it really felt like they was like, oh, we're trying, wink, wink, nudge, nudge the entire time.
I don't want to read too much into it. We've been prepping for this as some of the end of game interviews have happened. And I know he said it changed their mindset when Michelle Tavoy asked him after the game.
Yeah.
When Derek Carr came to the sideline after they called the timeout, it kind of felt like he was like, all right, let's go for it.
Yeah, he was
it seemed like he responded in a way and said something when he was walking off. So I don't want to play conspiracy theorists, and there's so many different things, but
so many.
That is obviously going to be a huge talking point. It did feel like there was a potential timeline over those last 45 seconds or so where they would have let that clock run out based on the decisions they had been making up to that point with the runs. We won't know. We won't know until more comes out, until more people have been asked about it. Again, there will be press conferences, post-game interviews. We will learn more about that here over the next half hour.
That's great.
So let's talk about the game itself. So that throw that Carr makes to Zay Jones, I mean, that's a season-making throw, and he had a couple of those today.
He did.
The Chargers had some incredible moments. We'll get to them, but the Raiders outplayed them in this game. Like, the Raiders were the better team tonight in a lot of different ways. Carr made enough throws in those big moments, and I thought the Raiders up front outplayed the Chargers kind of on both sides of the ball, but especially when the Chargers had the ball. I thought the defining aspect of this game was how the Raiders defensive line played.
Yeah, and we can commend Justin Herbert for converting on all those fourth downs. And I'll just say Justin Herbert converting on all those fourth downs, because it sure felt like that was the Chargers today, was the Los Angeles Justin Herberts and whatever you want to call them, because they had to get onto those fourth downs because the guys were dropping the ball. They were making it. The pass rush was getting home, especially against the right tackle, who they just refused to provide chip help against. Like, I just blew my mind that just kept happening. And but also I agree. It was Max Crosby and the rest of the D line, and then also the Raiders offensive line. While at times they can in the run game, they're a little disappointing at times. You would think they'd just be a little bit better, but Josh Jacobs was making them right on so many of those runs, because the Chargers weren't. Yeah, Chargers weren't getting any, penetration, or the linebackers were overrunning or underrunning, and it just really felt like there's always a gap there, and Josh Jacobs found it. So it was like, yeah, they really just played a good game. Like, the Raiders really played a good game, while Justin Herbert played a good game for the Chargers. If you know what I mean? It's like the whole Raiders team versus just Justin Herbert and a couple other plays from other guys. But it was like, yeah, they played a good game, and they get a pass rush, and that pass rush can take advantage of bad offensive lines. Like, that's what they've been able to do this entire season. It's never tailed off.
And even in the run game, there was the 4th and 1 that they went for at their own 18. They got absolutely stuffed. Darius Philon had some really nice moments. Not just him, though. Quentin Jefferson roasted Matt Filer at one point, for pressure almost attack. I mean, every single one of those guys got it. Ngakoue on the first Chargers drive against Rashawn Slater. I mean, every single guy up front for the Raiders had a moment today. And some of the guys in the back end, Casey Hayward had the pick. I thought that Brandon Faison had some really nice moments in coverage. I mean, they were making it hard on the Chargers. They had to get by the skin of their teeth to get that into overtime. So looking at it right now, in the fourth quarter and overtime, according to Next Gen Stats, all those fourth downs that the Chargers converted, a 1 in 8,000 chance, 0.01% for them to get all of those. And guess what? Justin Herbert is a 0.01% quarterback in some of those moments. That touchdown throw to Mike Williams is insane. him drifting to his left and just letting that thing rip. A 1 in an 8,000 sort of throw.
Yeah.
He's a 1 in 8,000 sort of player. I wish he had more help tonight.
I know. It's the 1% of the 1%. That's the throw that he makes. That's exactly what that was. I mean, he had the 4th and 21 touchdown throw, that one you were just talking about. The throw right before it, just up and over, just putting it right on the money, Mike. And that commends also commendable to the Raiders DBs for making it so tough on Mike Williams. They were playing their hands through the entire night, and that's
tough catches everywhere. There were not a lot of easy plays to be made on the field for the Chargers the entire game.
It speaks to what Justin Herbert does, that they get into 3rd and 15 plus, and it's almost like scarier to be on defense. Right? Oh boy, we took the top off. Let's see how far this ball's going. But some of those throws, the 2-point conversion was insane. Like, just being able to get through it. He's getting tackled. I mean, that's just a stick concept because Joe Lombardi, they go for it on 4th down so much, and he just calls quick. He calls stick or spacing. Like, I would say 3 out of 4 times that he calls them. It's like I like what they're doing going for it on 4th down, but it's very up those calls because you're becoming very, very predictable on them. But they run the mirrored stick, and freaking Herbert gets all the way through it and just getting tackled and hits Eckler in the flat. It's like, oh my God, he could do it all. And that, it just speaks to what performance he put on, because he truly took on the whole team by himself, it felt like at times.
Yeah, the right side of the Chargers offensive line has been an issue all year. It was an issue again today. And again, the Raiders defensive line, the Raiders defensive front controlled the game. This was, I think, really a reminder of who has carried the Raiders this year. Max Crosby was a consistent force over the second half of this game, working against Storm Norton. He's been fantastic this year. Led the NFL in pressures, according to PFF, coming into this game. He had another monster day. Hunter Renfrow was incredible in some big moments again. And I think if you look at those guys kind of lifting the Raiders in those moments, it's a reminder of what this Raiders season has looked like. What they have overcome and just how many different things have affected them over the course of the year that they have no control over, right? Whether it's John Gruden's is self-inflicted or not, his players didn't have control over it. These are things that happened to this team and happened to an interim head coach in Rich Bisaccia. Now this team is going to the playoffs.
Yeah, and they've had some good wins against some pretty good teams. Yeah. It's not like they just got by playing backups and playing third stringers. They've competed every week. Like, even some of their losses, they were in it. It's not like this team has just been bent over, folded over week after week. It's like, no, they're actually performing. Like, Derek Carr has truly helped them out. Actually throwing their guys open. Like, they have a whole bunch of Darren Waller coming back to number 1, but almost those number 2, number 3 types, and he's performing with them. The offensive line isn't perfect, but they compete. And then the defense, even for some of the inefficiencies, I would say, that they have, every week they make it tough, as long as they don't play the Chiefs. It's like every week they make it tough on the other offense. Like, they have their own identity, and it's worked for them. But yeah, it speaks to the whole franchise. that they're able to kind of keep churning out wins. They didn't fold. They could have easily folded the tent, and no one would have blamed them whatsoever. Everybody let's move on to whoever they end up with, the coach, Harbaugh, it looks like, but we'll talk about that later. But just any of that, they just competed like they're a playoff team, and now they are. That's props to them.
Just another feather in the cap in what has been a legendary, truly legendary career for Rod Marinelli. The fact that this group is playing at this level, and again, guys having career years. It feels like he's been doing this for 30 years. And
they played their best ball with him.
That group had been really disappointing, right? That was the area of this Raiders team that had underachieved the most over the last few seasons. And you look at what they are now compared to what they were a couple years ago, where this was their biggest weakness after the Farrell pick didn't work out. And then they go get Ngakoue. Max Crosby has this incredible breakout season in the midst of a pretty remarkable bit of self-improvement and just on his part, and just working on everything that he had to go through. It's impressive. And they kind of deserve this moment, even though Justin Herbert had these flashes of brilliance. Again, I thought that for 4 quarters and change tonight, in what has been one of the wildest games I think I've ever seen in my entire life, the Raiders were probably the better team. They got some lucky breaks, right? You get the pass interference penalty at the end of the half that is kind of a phantom call. Joey Bosa has the sack that easily could have been recovered by the Chargers. but they scored a touchdown later on anyway. So the bounces of the ball absolutely could have gone the way, but Austin Eckler makes that play early in the first half where the ball was tipped to him on third down. This stuff all comes out of the wash. I thought that the team scrambling more often today was the Chargers. And in the end, the Raiders ended up winning.
Yeah, I agree. Especially when the Raiders were running the ball, it felt like just one after another that something was popping.
Holding on for dear life. That's kind of what it felt like. That's a good way to put it. The last couple of drives. In overtime, I mean, obviously, Carr makes that huge third down throw, but it felt like they were kind of grabbing on and holding on for dear life as Josh Jacobs was running down the field. It's
never good when you're noting the DB's tackling ability, because that means they have to tackle over and over.
All year for the Chargers, though, right? I mean,
that's how you know their safety so well.
At him in space on that long run. I mean, it's those last couple plays. I mean, again, the third down throw is obviously huge, but he had the first chunk play they had to Brian Edwards to start that drive. You start that with a 17-yard completion, there's a good chance you're going to be able to get into a field goal range on that play. So credit goes to the Raiders. Again, I think that tough spot for the Raiders now, facing a decade of Justin Herbert and Patrick Mahomes, and this is a reminder of that even in moments that should be yours, even in games that seem like they might be sewn up late when you're up by 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, now you got to deal with 2 of these monsters that will never, ever go away. They will never, ever go away. 4 games a year. And that is a rough place to be. But guess what? Right now, that does not matter. The Raiders are going to the playoffs, and they earned every single bit of it.